On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
I just think that in our current situation in this country, that there's a lot more room for, there's a lot more wiggle room, I guess you could say. A woman might not just say, you know what, I'm only going to date a man over 6 feet. The reason I said that that was social conditioning for nowadays is because like some women are literally embarrassed to be with a man that's of a certain height. If you are feeling some form of embarrassment, that has to do with your social situation that you're in or your surroundings. If you're like,
means you ain't been chopped down by an Anton yet. 5'7", all man.
You are not 5'7".
Chopping down trees all day long.
You are not 5'7".
But you see me in person. You know what it's like.
Listen, I know what the party line is on this stuff, but I'm talking to you out of reality. I'm not talking to you about out of party lines. And when somebody files a divorce, each party has to fill out their financial affidavits and submit their W-2s. So I see plenty of relationships where the woman makes more. So I know what, hypergamy is, Courtney, and I know what people like to say in these communities. But I'm telling you what I see on a daily basis, especially when women get older. Date a woman who's 38 and she in Atlanta. She doesn't have any kids and she really wants a kid. Like she will get in a relationship with a man making $30,000, $40,000 less than she's making because she has other priorities. So I think, Courtney, you need to kind of take a little bit more sophisticated approach. This is why I was telling you that the ages are so important.
Well, here's the thing, Lee. Now let's talk about that because it is a sophistication approach because I'm talking about women that are dating and they are hypergamy, which they want to date up. You are seeing these particular women when it failed. So
no, Courtney, I just said a woman who's dating, she's 38, she's looking for a kid. She doesn't have a kid. This is what I just finished saying. A woman who is dating, she's 38 years old and she doesn't have a kid and she wants one. There are so many women like that in Atlanta. I can't speak to how the women are in New York or California. I see these women down here, women who have prioritized their careers. And because of this prioritization, they do not have any kids. They're 36, 37, 38, 39, and they don't have a kid and they are on the clock. And, they are looking and they have other priorities other than trying to maximize how much their man makes, like, first of all, are you fertile? Like that's what kind of what the women want. Do you have any other children? Is there some indication that you can have children? Because I can't be in this relationship 2 years and then come to find out that your sperm doesn't work.
So, and what I would say to that too, because I know a lot of women in that predicament. And so it's a thing where women are now freezing eggs. That is a thing. And I know in Atlanta, a couple women, I used to live in Atlanta, where they're not even thinking about a man like get me pregnant. A lot of women are, but that's not a real relationship. That's just because she wants to have a child. But a lot of women that are making these amount of money can afford to freeze their eggs. And that is a realistic thing with these women that are making $6+ grand, whatever a year. They are freezing eggs as well too. So,
but they're crying about it. That's never a woman's first option, Courtney. It's never a woman's first option to freeze their eggs. Well, they are pissed off about the fact that they have to freeze them. They might not tell you that, but it's the truth. Like they want a man.
Well, yeah, I don't
understand where the freezing of the eggs comes in at.
Okay, well, because you particularly said that there are women, they're 39 and they have these jobs and they want a kid, so they're willing to be with a man that doesn't meet their financial standards to get with a man. But what I'm saying is that is true. However, that's not the likelihood. Most women don't want to be with a man just to have a child. We do want husbands. Sometimes we wait late in life and put our careers first, not to have it. But then there's a lot of women that's also freezing their eggs that are financially able to do that want a kid.
They're freezing their eggs. They're freezing their eggs because they feel like they're not going to find anybody. And it could be the way that they look. There are some women who are, listen, if we're going to be honest, there are some women who are just not attractive to the men in this country. And they're like, listen, I've tried, and I only get used by men, and I thought these men really like me, and it turns out that they don't. And when I try to make little tests to see if they like me, they all fail. And so I'm not going to it's not really in the cards for me. So I might have to freeze my eggs. I might have to adopt. I might have to, do some type of eat, love, pray journey to India and try to find some peace somewhere. Like it's real out here. Like what I'm really saying is I understand the party line about women and the hypergamy, and it's true. It's true. But what I'm telling you is that there's a lot more flexibility that's really not discussed. And a woman will absolutely compromise on her salary requirements if there are other things in the balance. And really protection almost goes out of it doesn't really go out of the window, because I think it's still translated for example, into a man's height. If you have a man that's 6'3", you're going to feel, as a woman, you're going to feel like you're more protected than if you get with a man that's 5'6". If you're with a man that's
social conditioning.
I don't think it's social conditioning, Kay.
Because
why would you say it's social conditioning, Kay?
The reason I'm saying it's social conditioning is because there's this thing where people think that a taller man is going to protect them more than a shorter one, which might not necessarily be the case.
I don't think that's social. I think that's genetic.
Like biological in terms of survival of the fittest type stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's definitely that argument, but and I've had this conversation before, so I definitely got something to say about it. In terms of that argument in our modern world, like in America, let's say, it's not quite the same as during like hunter-gatherer situations, where those things were more indicative of someone who was more able to, withstand certain things that they may go through. In our country, in this year, 2021, I don't necessarily think that someone's height is indicative of whether or not they're going to be protecting you.
But
nowadays, even though I agree about the biological aspect, I think that's where that came from. I think that's why that became like a popular thing that women want even now still. It's like a hardwired, I guess you could say.
That's exactly right. That's why your 2021 argument doesn't make any sense. Because if it's hardwired through your genetics, it doesn't matter what year it is. It could be 3021. If it's hardwired in your genetics, it's part of you. Your genetics did not become hardwired in 2021. Your genetics harken back from a time, 50,000 years ago.
Right. So if you think about, go ahead.
Your conscious mind sits on top of your unconscious mind. And your unconscious mind goes way, a lot of people call it the lizard mind. So, your conscious mind is in 2021. Your unconscious is not. Your unconsciousness is hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Yeah, epigenetics is a thing. There's reasons why we do different things. I just think that in our current situation in this country, that there's a lot more room there's a lot more wiggle room, I guess you could say. A woman might not just say, you know what, I'm only going to date a man over 6 feet. The reason I said that was social conditioning for nowadays is because like some women are literally embarrassed to be with a man that's of a certain height. If you are feeling some form of embarrassment, that has to do with your social situation that you're in or your surroundings. If you're like,
you ain't been chopped down by an Anton yet. 5'7", all man.
You are not 5'7".
Chopping down trees all day long.
You are not 5'7". But
you see me in person. You know what it's like.